Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Sunday. It's Daryl here. It's 3:30, bright and early here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Okay, you could always tell that I can't hide my demeanor. It's kind of I'm serious about this video today. Okay, you guys know that sometimes I use like analogies. A lot of times I'll see a story and I'll feel strongly about it. First thing I do, once I'll take about an hour or two to think about the story and then how I'm going to present it. How I'm going to make my case, my point. I'll think back to actual things that have happened in my life, things I've seen, things that things that I've witnessed, and try to form an analogy, a comparison to the point that I'm trying to make. Now, I was going to start off this story just getting right into my recovery and my past drug use, and I'm not going to be cute. I'm going to tell you straight up. This is about Ron DeSantis and legislation that he's passed. The link will be right down below. Let me say this too. There was a time just last year where I was seriously considering moving to Florida. The weather, I'm getting older, and every year I used to, I ski and ice skate, play hockey and all that stuff. And as I get older, I just do not like it was zero yesterday, zero. And that's not counting the wind chill. And I don't even know if I'd set foot in Florida. Now, this is nothing against the Florida people of Florida or anything like that. This is to do, I hate to say this, but it's to do with red and blue states now. And it's not a good thing. I think we're getting more separated. You see Republican states going farther. Who could go farther right to appease Trump voters because they think that's the only way they can get elected. And as a result, it's downright fear in people like me that kind of push us more to the left. I've told you guys before, I was an independent voter I was a registered or not registered Democrat or Republican, independent, up until 2016, 2015. And then I've been going further left. And that's the way this whole country's going. That's not even the point of this video. Ron DeSantis, legislation. And this is just to jump on the CRT bandwagon. As we all know, CRT is not being taught in schools. It's a college level course. To me, it's like a psychology. It's an in-depth psychology. It's not something they teach in grade school or high school. They are, at all. But people like DeSantis are jumping, because parents have this fear-mongering, Fox News and all this other stuff. But I'm going to get more into that because there's something underneath this that I think that really scares these people. I'm going to talk about that at the end of the video. Jump on the bandwagon so they get elected. So Ron DeSantis making it illegal in Florida to teach. No, not even to teach. If they teach anything in a business or a school that makes people feel uncomfortable, makes people feel guilty, recrimination, any of these things, if it makes it people. And the funny thing is, this is the group of people that for the longest time have been wearing F your feelings, that whole crew, F your feelings, I'm a man, I don't have feelings. That they don't want people, no, we don't want to feel guilty. We don't want little Johnny to feel guilty. And it's not even about little Johnny. Like I said, I'll talk about this at the end of the video. That's bull. And I'll get to that at the end of the video. So I started thinking about this. Making it illegal to teach anything that makes people feel guilty or recrimination based on their age. Well, the main thing is their race, age, gender. But we all know this is about race, right? So maybe start thinking, I might as well get right to the point. Rosa Parks. I remember one of the things that sticks in my head clear as day is seeing pictures of a lunch encounter. You guys have all seen this. If I'm not mistaken, I'd swear this was in my history book. There's a lot of things that were in my history book. I was in school in the 70s. That's, the Vietnam War was just ending. The Vietnam War was even mentioned in my history books. But I know I've seen pictures of the lunch encounter where the group of James Dean looking Caucasian guys harassing a African-American gentleman sitting at the counter, or the pictures of whites only at the bathrooms or the drinking fountains. I remember seeing these going back to when I was young, and they strongly affected me. Empathy. And, I can't imagine why they would do this to other people. What are you thinking? Do you think these other people have cooties? Or, it blew my mind. It hurt me. I've always had a strong sense of empathy. Just a side note, my next video, I'm going to talk about a study that just came out recently that showed that conservative people have far less empathy than liberal people. A serious study. We kind of all felt that, but a study. Okay, so getting back to this. So what about Rosa Parks? This is right in that lane. She sat in the front of the bus where she wasn't allowed to sit. This is one of the things that it didn't even make sense to me when I was younger and I first saw these pictures. Why would other people? What's so good about the front of the bus anyway? I was just going to say that I was one of those guys that sat in the back of the bus. I wasn't. I was one of the guys that sat in the front of the bus because I was scared because I got picked on. But honestly, what is the difference between the front and the back of the bus? It didn't even make any sense to me. Is it more scenic? Are people really taking a tour when they're going to work? Or it didn't make any sense to me. What makes the front of the bus better? If you really thought about it, if you really thought about this discrimination attitude, why wouldn't they make if they really thought the black people weren't as honest as the white people, which I do not agree with, when they wanted them to sit more in the front of the bus so the bus driver could keep an eye? It doesn't even make any sense. I'm just trying to compare. This isn't stuff I believe or anything. So in Florida now, according to Ron DeSantis' law, you can't talk about Rosa Parks. Am I wrong? I don't think so. Because it'll make people, this is something, that used to happen, where African-American people were made to sit at the back of the bus. And we all know the story. So, we don't want, under Ron DeSantis' law, you can't talk about that now. You can't talk about Rosa Parks or any of these, was it John Lewis that just died, that walked across the bridge there and took a god-awful beating. You can't talk about that. All these things, it doesn't make any sense. I was going to get into my whole background of recovery and drug use, because I was going to form an analogy. What if I didn't want to talk about my past? Because I think one of the strongest things that keeps me in recovery is remembering what a lying, stealing SOB I was before. What drugs, it wasn't who I was, but it was what these drugs did to me. But then I started thinking, well, there's going to be people that say, well, Daryl, that's your past. But what DeSantis is talking about is making people feel guilty what other people did in the past. Not anything, because these people claim, I didn't do anything. This was people in the past, and I don't want to feel guilty for it. Okay. What about, I go to AA meetings, and I've literally heard dozens of men and women talk about selling their bodies for drugs. And what if there was somebody there that said, look, hey, I never did that, and it creeps me out, man. I don't want you talking about that. That would, I think that's one of the strongest, those are some of the strongest stories that we heard here in NA and AA about people that would sacrifice everything, their bodies, their everything, their soul. So they would sell their soul for these substances. And it affects people like me that didn't do that. You learn not only from your own past mistakes, but from other people's past mistakes. Okay, now let me get right to the base of this. I don't think this is about making people feel guilty at all. I tried to put myself, as usual, I use like a little empathy. And what is it really that people like Ron DeSantis are scared of? Why don't they want this being taught? Is it really just about making, kids feel guilty? I don't think so. I think it's about they don't want to lose the edge. They're afraid of things like affirmative action or affirmative action like issues. Like say when their wife, their lily white, blonde hair, blue-eyed wife gets pulled over for speeding. Almost 90%, 99% of the time, she drives away without a ticket. Whereas a lot of times an African-American woman will not fare the same. I think people like Ron DeSantis, the basis of this, they do not want to lose that edge right there. They don't want to lose it. People like Ron DeSantis, they know that they're being treated differently and they don't want to lose that. Just like we hear about the farmers, the African-American farmers and the Caucasian farmers. And the Caucasian farmers are saying, look, these African-American farmers don't need this extra help. The laws are, we're all treated equally. But come on, we all know when that African-American farmer walks into the bank, he's less likely to get a loan. Come on, in our heart, we all know that. And I think just a lot of people don't want to lose that edge. When that Caucasian farmer walks in and says, hey, howdy, Clem, how's the kids? Hey, they're great. How's Mary? Oh, by the way, that loan's no problem. It's in your pocket. Go ahead and start spending it. No problem. It's approved. Stamp. Not quite the same, though. There's a little closer eye. Well, geez, you had a late payment 10 years ago here. When he's talking to the African-American farmers. Look, I could be wrong here. This could be all just speculation. But I don't think so. I think that's what it's all about. It's not about guilt. It's about people do not want to lose their special little place in society. That's it. All right, I'll be back later with another video. I want to talk about empathy and compassion. You guys have a great Sunday.